People, when we tell you that some black faces in high places are the perfect tools of white supremacy, I give you Kemi Badenoch, aka Not Bad Enough, the first black British Conservative Party leader, the racial gatekeeping extraordinaire, whose unique selling point is to throw black people and her country of origin, Nigeria, under the bus at every given opportunity in order to prop herself up to white British people as, I'm really one of you. It's an accident of birth that I came out black, but I'm really white on the inside. Here she is in the House of Commons, Parliament no less, complaining about a Palestinian family of 6 who've been given refuge in the United Kingdom under a scheme created for Ukrainians. You know, white people. Listen in.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative government established the Ukraine Family Scheme, and in total, over 200,000 Ukrainians, mostly women, children, and the elderly, have found sanctuary in the UK from Putin's war.
Okay, good.
However, a family of 6 from Gaza have applied to live in Britain using this scheme.
Good.
And a judge has now ruled in their favour.
Excellent.
This is not what the scheme was designed to do.
Did you hear that?
This decision is completely wrong.
No.
It cannot be allowed to stand.
Unacceptable.
Is the government planning to appeal on any points of law? And if so, which ones?
Kemi Badenoch is basically saying that we, the British people, can give refuge to over 200,000 Ukrainians to come here, but we cannot give refuge to a family of 6 Palestinians from Gaza. Why? Because Ukrainians are white. So we can give Ukrainians right to work, right to live, access to the health service, access to benefits, but we can't give Palestinians the same rights and benefits. Why? Because Ukrainians are white. Kemi said, this cannot stand. This is wrong. This is not what the scheme was created for. And out of this mouthpiece of white supremacy, you hear the truth, that the system is not broken. It is working exactly as it should, which is to discriminate, to exclude, to be institutionally, structurally, and systemically racist. And Kemi Badenoch knows that Britain is responsible for arming, aiding, abetting, supporting Israel's genocide of Palestinians, Israel's commission of crimes against humanity of Palestinians in both West Bank and Gaza, and that we are partly responsible for Israel's devastation of Gaza. So we actually owe Palestinians refuge. We owe them that. But that can't happen because Palestinians are not white. And Israel, Zionist Israel, is Britain's ally. And we all know that Zionism is white supremacy. No outrage when Ukrainians leave their war-torn country to come and benefit from a system here they've not worked for. But there's outrage when black and brown people leave their war-torn countries to come here seeking refuge. White supremacy exemplified.
This one makes some people uncomfortable, but truth often does. Let's talk about it. Some black people in high places are the perfect tools for white supremacy. Now, let me explain. Watch and pay attention, and I'll share my thought later.
Kemi Badenoch is now leader of the Conservative Party. For those who don't know, the Conservative Party is the more right-wing political party in Britain. Now, the thing is, I find it really interesting, but wait, also, Badenoch, what is that? Baden, or is it Baden? Baden, is that to bathe, and then Noch is nighttime. So is her name like Kemi Bath Night or Kemi Bath Time? I don't know. It's a name that, you know, obviously she got when she married her husband. Her husband's the managing director of Deutsche Bank, by the way, which is really, really interesting because you're going to have a particular amount of money behind you. Like, you can have all the right-wing rhetoric that you want, but you're going to have a significant amount of money behind you for you to pull off certain political stunts. And I think it's important to note that anybody can be used as a tool of white supremacy. It doesn't matter your color, your gender, your sexuality, whether you're disabled or otherwise. Anybody can be used as a tool of white supremacy if they are willing to play along. Or not even sometimes if they're actively, consciously willing, you can still unconsciously participate in white supremacy. This is what people like to call sometimes unconscious bias, which is why it's BS. But the Labour Party, that's meant to be the more left-leaning, the left-wing political party in the UK, to date, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't be knowing things sometimes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Also get into my nails. Ow. But they haven't to date, the Labour Party hasn't to date had a woman leader of that party. And they definitely haven't had, they haven't had a black woman leader. And of course, we know that not all skin folk are kinfolk. I've recently directed a play called Why a Black Woman Would Never Be Prime Minister, written by Zakia Dean. And there's a line that the protagonist says where she says, just because there's a black woman in power doesn't mean that we rate her. So there'll be some people, because they're so focused on, it doesn't matter if a black woman gets a great place in hell helping Satan. This is so amazing for us. This is progress for us all. Because remember, when we weren't allowed to do this, that, and the other. Not all representation is good representation. In fact, sometimes being represented in certain places guarantees harm to those people who look like the person that's now representing them. So I just think that, it's important to note these things. But at the same time, why haven't the Labour Party, why haven't we seen a woman lead the Labour Party? Why haven't we seen a black woman lead the Labour Party? These are all questions I wonder. And again, I say, why haven't we had a woman? But the women that could potentially be up for running as Labour Party leader, namely Angela Rayner, and what's that other one that I can't stand? Jess Phillips. They've said things that really bother me about what they would do regarding black people if they were actually in power. So again, I'm so conflicted at this time. I'm not making this video like I've got answers. I'm just telling you, hey guys, I'm conflicted. This is throwing me. This is another representation of why two-party political systems don't actually work, because they give you these false binaries, these false dichotomies that it's either this or that, as if there can't be other options, because both of these options aren't great. What the Labour Party is currently doing is not great. What the Conservative Party could do if they ever got back in power and had another stint also would not be great. Kemi is the same person that said that the transatlantic slave trade wasn't that bad, and there was some good to come from it, and also colonialism, there was also some good to come from it, and also that Britain is the best place in the world to live for black people. She just says things. And I don't know why she does it, but I worry for her. She is, to me, dedicated to being a handmaiden of Beelzebub, but that's another story. And I don't think if we want to speak sense into Kemi, we can't call her Kemi Badenoch. We have to go back to her original name, Kemi, Olukemi Adegoke. Find sense and move accordingly, because we're not going to tolerate the nonsense.
So, British politics' very own house Negro, Kemi Badenoch, who presents herself as the staunchest defender of British interests, just got a reality check when she tried to take credit for UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's recent cut to foreign aid to find money for defense. Starmer, no beacon of integrity himself, and in true British tradition of tactful insults, took the opportunity to remind her that she is not one of them. Take a look.
Over the weekend, I suggested to the Prime Minister that he cut the aid budget, and I am pleased that he accepted my advice.
I'm going to have to let the Leader of the Opposition down gently. She didn't feature in my thinking at all. I was so busy over the weekend I didn't even see her proposal. I think she's appointed herself, saviour of the Western civilization. It's a desperate search for relevance.
So sister, just like we've told you before, regardless of how hard you ride for British values and how loudly you proclaim your strong will to die protecting the British crown, you will not be viewed as anything more than an eager servant. Because being in the house doesn't mean you have an equal seat at the table. So you might want to consider returning to the fields where we are not disillusioned.
Am I your problem, Kemi Badenoch? I asked the question for a very good reason, because Badenoch published a pamphlet during the course of her Conservative Party leadership campaign. It was entitled Conservatism in Crisis, The Rise of the Bureaucratic Class, and in it, she attacked several groups in UK society. Some are those who have mental health issues. They, apparently, are a massive burden to society, and I'm going to discuss that in another video soon. But Another group that she took great issue with are those who work in universities, and I do, and those who've got degrees, and I have. In fact, almost half young people in the UK now have degrees, and Kemi Badenoch really does not like that fact. Her diatribe, because I can't really describe this document in any other way, is based upon prejudice. There is no doubt about that. It's very clear from everything that drips from it. But why does she hate those who are educated so much? Well, it's clear that the answer comes from her analysis of electoral results in the USA. Her claim is that those who had degrees voted for Biden in 2020 and those who hadn't voted for Trump, and therefore having a degree is very obviously a bad thing to possess. It makes you left-wing, she claims, and that is disastrous because the left wing are the enemy in her very weird worldview, and it makes you a proponent of bureaucracy, that system of government that she wishes to control by becoming leader of the opposition and so prospective prime minister, but which she apparently hates. I deliberately used the tone that I did because there is an obvious paradox in everything that she's saying. How can she want to control government and yet hate it so much? How can she hate bureaucracy and yet want to control the biggest bureaucracy that we have? Because government is inevitably, and there is no way around this, bureaucratic. I don't know, unless we presume that what she wants to do is create new elites and new power structures, a new system of control, which are fundamentally different to those which have gone before. Now, maybe that is exactly what she is saying, and I am reading between the lines of this document and between the lines of what she said when she was elected very recently to be leader. She said the Conservatives have to go back to their roots and reimagine what it means to form a government in the future. Is she saying, and it seemed to be the case that she is, that everything that the Conservatives have been doing when in office is wrong? Is she saying, like Liz Truss, that frankly the Conservatives have moved so far to the left, in her view, as was the view of Liz Truss, that she has to drag them into a totally different space? Is she saying that education for most people is wrong because they then might question the system which she believes she must have control of? Is she challenging the right to literally challenge, which is what a good education encourages a person to do? I believe she is doing all those things. I believe her paranoia about education is quite simply that it means that people, when they are informed, understand that there need to be balances in society to ensure that everyone has a chance to prosper. Whereas she takes the view, and I think it's a eugenic view, that there are some who are naturally entitled to prosper and the rest are destined to serve. That is what I think she's arguing. And my belief as an educator is that we have done our duty if we create people who challenge the worldview that Kemi Badenoch represents. I am therefore delighted to be Kemi Badenoch's problem. It's my aim to be her problem. It's the aim of most of my university colleagues throughout the UK to be Kemi Badenoch's problem. Because our goal in life is to create people who question, challenge, and change systems for the better. But she wants none of that. She wants to go back to a past as she sees it, where power was ensconced in the hands of a few who ruled imperially without challenge from the masses. That is the last thing that I think this country wants.
Kemi Badenoch thought she ate, but unfortunately, she left a lot of crumbs.
Over the weekend, I suggested to the Prime Minister that he cut the aid budget, and I'm pleased that he accepted my advice.
There is a unique kind of pain that comes when the very people you sold yourself to remind you that you were never one of them. And right now, Kemi Badenoch is feeling every ounce of it, every single ounce of it.
She didn't feature in my thinking at all.
Let's break this down logically, because what just happened isn't just politics. It's a masterclass in psychology, and I love every bit of it. Kemi built her career playing the role of model minority, the black conservative who distances herself from her own, who speaks against Africa to earn favor in Britain. But here's the problem. When you build a house on borrowed land, the owner can evict you at any given time. Starmer didn't just ignore her. He erased her. Now, the logic behind this statement, the logic behind Starmer's statement, is rooted in a rhetorical device called a fortiori reasoning. Now, if he didn't even think about her, how could he take her advice seriously? Now, in my language, in Edo language, we say, Imadege trailer, ama iwe a driver no fear. Now, a verbatim translation in English language says, I didn't see the trailer. I didn't see the trailer truck, let alone the person driving it. Now, here's the logic. The truck, as you know, is more visible and obvious than the driver. So if someone failed to notice something as large and conspicuous as a trailer truck, it follows that they definitely didn't notice the smaller, less conspicuous detail, in this case, the driver. Wow, that was horrendous. It was mean, so to speak. In fact, that was a public diminishing of relevance designed to make her politically invisible, just like the driver. Oh, dang.
She's appointed herself, I think, savior of the Western civilization. It's a desperate search for relevance.
This is what we call exaggeration as dismissal. Instead of debating her point, Starmer framed her as delusional. Someone appointing herself as the savior of the Western civilization. Like, seriously. It's not just an insult. It's a psychological warfare. It makes her look desperate for importance. It weakens her credibility and ensures that no one in that house or watching takes her seriously. It was a political bombardment. Political bombardment, whatever. And the last part, a desperate search for relevance. That's the real dagger. Because, it means Britain never saw her as central to their politics. She wasn't, or she isn't, a key player, just a convenient voice when needed, a political weapon against her own people.
Mr. Speaker, I understand she likes straight talking. She's talking absolute nonsense.
And here's where the karma kicks in. The very Nigerians, Africans, the black people, melanated people she has distanced herself from, they are enjoying this moment. Because this isn't just about Kemi. This is a warning to every other person who thinks tearing down their own will secure them a seat at the table. A lot of melanated people, immediately they leave the shores of Africa. They start bad-mouthing, talking down on their countries, comparing apples and oranges. Oh, Nigeria this, Nigeria that. Look at here, look at Britain, look at Spain, look at this, whatever. If you knew what these people did to Africa, you won't dare badmouth Africa for being underdeveloped. Even when it comes to corruption, how did corruption start in Africa? Was it not the same colonial invaders who started to handpick people? They started to favor some particular set of people, put them in places of power to use them against the others. Is that not how corruption started? You talk about the police, talk about the army. Yes, of course, it's not the same way the police behaves in this western part of the world, or the military. You don't see them outside flogging people. But where did ours in Africa, where did they learn it from? Wasn't this the same treatment they got from these colonial soldiers and colonial police? So they learned from the people who taught them. So that is it. So before you talk down your country, try to get to the root of why they are behaving the way they behave.
Last week, he misled the House. He was not on top of his own education bill, listening to
Sorry. We can't accuse the Prime Minister of misleading the House. No. We can't do it. I'm sure there's words that you would prefer to use.
And here's the final humiliation. Now, Kemi, in her usual fashion, tried to attack Starmer directly, accusing him of misleading the House. But this time, she was stopped, cautioned, told to choose her words carefully. You see, in Britain, there are rules for the game. And the same aggressive tone she used against Nigeria, the same reckless accusations she threw at Africa, she thought she could take it there. But they put a leash on her. They made her rephrase. They reminded her that even in the very halls of power she thought she belonged to, she needed to choose her words carefully, and she rephrased.
Mr. Speaker, last week he claimed to have laid down an amendment that he had not made. He doesn't know what is going on in here or out there.
She thought she could speak about Britain however she pleased, the same way, the same manner she speaks about Nigeria and Africa. I mean, it's a fair game. Africa is a fair game for her because she knew nobody would check her there until now. And that's the real lesson for you, all of you. If you don't respect your roots, someone else will make you respect theirs. The leash has been tightened and the world is watching. Power isn't given, it's taken. Respect isn't earned by betrayal, it's built through integrity. And if you think you can abandon your people and be welcomed elsewhere, just remember, they didn't even think about you. Dang. I'm good.
Guys, what's your take on this Kemi? What's your take on this Kemi Badenoch issue with the new the new proposals by the Conservative Party, if they win, to extend the current immigration laws in the UK for those wanting to be British citizens from 5 to 10 years to 10 to 15 years, increasing it from 12 months after indefinite leave to remain to a whopping 5 years. What are the impacts to people already in the country and wanting to come into the UK? Are they not going to lose people to Canada, Australia, the EU, and other countries, Caribbean, the Middle East? What is the UK doing? What is the UK doing? What are your thoughts? Leave your comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.
You know, there was a film called We Need to Talk About Kevin. Today is the day we need to talk about Kemi. We need to talk about Kemi Badenoch. I've been sitting on this one for a while. Now, it's come to my attention that she is obviously a child of immigrants, and she is very anti-immigration. I think she would probably agree with that. So I decided to have a little look into her background, as in how she came to be in this country and how she got her British citizenship. She claims that her mother only came to the UK to use the private medical care, and it had nothing to do with the fact that there was a law that allowed children born in this country to automatically get British citizenship. So she wants me to believe that her parents had no clue, her Nigerian parents had no clue that becoming a British citizen was something that she would get if she was born here. Nada, no clue. As someone who has a Nigerian parent myself, as someone who has spent a lot of time in the Nigerian community, as someone who spent a lot of time in the West African community, I'm going to call bullshit. I'm going to call bullshit. The thing about Kemi is that she was put forward as, I'm a black British woman, and she was put forward as someone who I should be proud of, that she got to this place, and it was very impressive. She's now the leader of the Conservative Party. Great, wonderful. But I am still confused about how, as a child of immigrants who managed to come to this country because of liberal immigration laws, you can now turn around and pull up the drawbridge, shut the doors, and also pretend that your parents just came to use the private medical care. I'm not buying it, I'm afraid. I'm not buying it.
Mr. Speaker, this is a ludicrous assertion. He is the one who was repeatedly signing letters. He even asked us to pause all deportations. He asked us to pause all deportations. He doesn't want to talk about his past, Mr. Speaker, but that letter is just the tip of the iceberg. There is more. The Prime Minister actually complained that the immigration system was working to deter migrants rather than provide support. He said, and I quote, that he was proud to have served as Jeremy's shadow immigration minister. He boasted that he took the last Labour government to court for cutting benefits for asylum seekers. He said he would never set a target-based approach to immigration. He wants to talk about immigration. Let's talk about his record. We can talk about it all day. I was born here, but I grew up in a place where fear was everywhere. You cannot understand it unless you've lived it. Triple checking that all the doors and windows are locked, waking up in the night at every sound, listening as you hear your neighbors scream as they are being burgled and beaten, and wondering if your home will be next.
We are often taught to celebrate when a black person makes it. Whether it is the first black CEO, judge, senator, or media mogul, we are told it is a win for us all. But what happens when those high places demand silence, complicity, and loyalty to oppressive systems? Say, representation without accountability is not liberation. You can have black skin and still protect white power. You can wear melanin and still sell out your own people. Some of these folks are put on platforms because they are safe, because they tell the oppressed to calm down, because they frame injustice as overreaction, because they smile in the face of systemic violence and they say, let's just work harder. Let's call it what it is. White supremacy does not always need a white face. Sometimes it finds a black one that will say the word it wants to say, push the policy it wants to push, and gaslight the people it wants to silence. This is not new. Our elders warned us. Malcolm X said it best. Be wary of the puppet who serves the master, even if the puppet looks like you. Now, do not get it twisted. This is not about tearing down successful black people. It is about asking, what are you doing with that power? Are you using it to dismantle injustice or to protect the same system that kept us down? We cannot just celebrate faces. We must examine the functions behind those faces. Who are they really serving? Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comment box below. Until next time, cheers and have a good one.